Hello and welcome. My name is Sheep Thief, and today I'll be coming at you with a Dominion 6 guide. Welcome to this YouTube Let's Play guide. Anyway, yeah, so I just won a game with Late Age Man, and so I'm going to talk about what I learned. We'll start with an overview of the units, because I think anyone searching for this would probably want that. Starting with the commanders. You've got a scout that isn't bad. Stealth isn't crazy or anything, but he has these two weapons and a little bit of leadership, which goes well with these units, which are stealthy as well, and have a fair amount of attacks as well as a bow. I wouldn't think that the bow would be very useful in the late age, but these two attacks is a fair amount of damage for a stealthy unit. They also have a patrol bonus, which is helpful for blood hunting. You have this unit, which you will use a lot. These are pretty good leaders. They have 100 leadership, and you're gonna have a lot of units, especially in the early to mid and late game. But I went super late in my game, and at that point they become less important. But these are good leaders, and you're gonna need a lot of them to like move the large number of units that you're gonna have around. These judges have a patrol bonus, again good for blood hunting. They can have a path, but I think that what is good with the judges is right in the beginning to get some unrest down. You can send them around and get rid of unrest to help boost your income in the beginning. So if you have a high quality province, send a judge there and get the unrest down sooner rather than later. They can also help start building forts and stuff like that. Sometimes lapse. You have a priest which has inquisitor. I didn't use this, although at the end I started setting that up. I could see how if you are in up against someone whose dominion you don't want to deal with, like R'lyeh, or however you pronounce that, the Cthulhu creatures, this could be useful. This could certainly be useful in certain situations, so just remember that you do have Inquisitor. If you don't like someone's dominion, you can use that. The Bishop is a level 2 priest. I didn't use them at all, although if you watched my Late Age Man episodes, you'll know that I was really looking for a Holy 3 priest, and so if there's some way that you can boost this up to Holy 3 that I don't know about, then that would have been hugely useful. The Magister is these are good. They have Mason, which can get you Grand Citadels, which are very hard to get into, especially if you have defenders, which have this castle defense bonus. This leader has it as well. They're good at defending castles, pretty simple. They are also good at sieging castles. I could see how if you're up against someone who's camping in a castle, having a bunch of these might be useful. They aren't exactly cheap, and they're not good at pretty much anything else. They are stealthy, and can get spy, which means if you get it into their capital, you can see their score graphs. This can be useful to just get some information. In the game that I played, I got them into everybody's castles, and it sort of just confirmed what I knew. But I could see in a closer game, it could be helpful to see where their research is, where their gem income is. They can instill uprisings, but I never did that. So this one is more important. This is pretty much your only mage that you're going to use, which makes it fairly straightforward. They are not super expensive, not super cheap. They have a wide range of paths. All of them can enter into communions. A lot of them will be Air 3. Some of them will be Earth 2, which is useful. Some of them will have glamour and fire, which is useful for site searching, and then eventually fire, once you get enough air gems, you'll want to empower one of them and get up to fire 3 or something, and try to climb fire. I'll talk more about accessing the higher magic pass soon. Yeah, so communions are good. They can, a lot of them can cast Thunder Strike and stuff, but I'll talk more about the power spikes later. You've got this leader, which he's no better than the Castellans for leader. I didn't use them. I think the only reason you'd get these is if your leaders are somehow if your Castellans are somehow not surviving in fights, having less protection, and like other stats like that. So, not particularly useful. They are stealthy. Maybe that could be useful. Now let's talk about the units. You've got this, which I never used. It's a trash unit. This has a long spear with a length 4 thing, which I think can be used to sort of keep. It's called like repel or something. I didn't use it. They died a lot in expansion 2. Not a fan. These I would use if I was up against like tanky units, like some kind of giant or maybe sacreds. But yeah, they do a good attack. 19 damage isn't bad. Otherwise they're not very good. These are a slightly improved one with better protection, but obviously you can't mass them as well. Again, maybe good against giants or something. The longbowmen, or no, the light archers, don't use it. Not good. But maybe if you're trying to like fill out your archers, maybe. Crossbowmen, I wouldn't do it. But it's a crossbowman. The tower guard is a light version of the defender, which we'll talk about later. They have a castle defense bonus. They have a crossbow. They have okay protection, and an okay attack, and a kite shield, which I think protects them pretty well against certain things. These are these stealthy, high attack damage units, which again I think they could be useful for raiding, or even kind of like I don't know. That's a lot of damage, and they're ambidextrous, so they're not bad. I didn't use them, but I could see how they could be useful. I think that you shouldn't overlook these foresters. You can have bands of them going around. Another reason to maybe use this guy is to have a bunch of them, and not use this guy as the leader. So if you're gonna do that, I would say use one of these guys as the leader, because he's stealthy, and go around, and you could have 100 of them, and that would be pretty good at killing certain things. The longbowman has a very long range longbow, but it does not as much damage as a crossbow. This is good if you're going to do flaming arrows. It's also good. I actually got beaten in another game by someone playing Late Age Man. They can do a lot of damage, especially if the enemy is like a bunch of infantry coming towards you that has to walk across the whole field. It will chip through. They also have this short sword that does a lot of damage. Like that does more damage than the broadsword of this guy, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but that is what it is. So don't underestimate longbowmen. If they get caught, they sort of do a lot of damage at close range. They have an iron cap, yeah, but not a lot of protection. They're good. I think they're good. Yeah. So this is a very important unit. The defender, they have a crossbow, and a broadsword. And then they give you a bunch of castle defense. So these, you can sit them in your castles that you've made with your magisters, which are upgraded, and it'll be very hard to break into the castle. And the whole time your mages can be in there researching, doing whatever they want to do, summoning, getting ready for the attack, whatever. They're good. They have a lot of protection. These are, I'd say, your primary unit, the defender. You can get them in any place too. The Tower Knight is a knight. They have, what does this mean? Okay. I'm not sure what that means, but they have a lance charge. Again, good against big things like giants, or getting around to the back line, which you sort of have trouble doing, aside from just shooting them with arrows. But you know, if they're like ethereal, like an ethereal communion back there, or or if they're just sort of, it's a big army, these can be useful. I didn't use them that much, but you can get them in any fort. If you want knights, you can get them, and they're sort of medium priced. They're not amazing, but if you need them, they're there. Then you have these sacreds, the warden. They are stealthy. That's another thing you can do with them, but you can only get them in the capital, and I sort of think building a bless around them is a trap, and you should go for scales. What you could do is get magic weapons on them for dealing with any ethereal units, and have them be kind of a elite force. I wouldn't even waste time giving them a bunch of resistances or anything. They're more efficient ways to get like a line of resistances than taking a bless and hurting your scales. So that's the unit lineup, and again, I should say here that I am not a expert, but that's my quick summary of the units. So I think what I'm going to talk about next is the scales you want. I don't think you need too much dominion. You want like super good scales. I think you can go into heat. I think heat is better than frost. You want growth. You want luck. What you can do is sink into drain, because it won't affect your research, because you have you're unhindered by it. So take drain to get some extra points. What I did is a monolith. Although I think actually for my purposes it was kind of a mistake, because now they have inept smith, which means you have to get really high to get some of the things that I think are absolutely essential for man. Now, one of the things that I think is absolutely essential for man is, I'm going to go into this game that I played I think I'll just stay in the game that I played to talk about the rest of this. So we'll go. Sometimes it kind of cuts out here, so if I cut out, then that's what happened. Okay, so the item that I think won me the game is this item, the Ring of Wizardry. It gives you +1 to all magic, and it just like completely changed everything once I got that. It costs 80 astral pearls, but I think you want to rush a Ring of Wizardry. It will just open up so many things with your mages. It's huge. Get a Ring of Wizardry. So I would say with your pretender, be able to forge that. So Astral 7 I think is what you need. But if you're a monolith, you need to have more than that. Where did it go? Is it Astral 7? Yeah. So with a monolith, you need to have Astral 8, which you can do by giving him a whoops. You can give them this, the Coin of Meteoritic Iron. It used to be called something else. They changed the name of it. Yeah. So I just truly can't imagine winning a game as Late Age Man without that item. There it is. So what I'll talk about now is expansion. What you want to do is use batches of wardens and defenders. The defenders' crossbows will rip through things, and then if they come into contact with most independent forces, they will be able to hold their own and not just die. I think you could probably do it with longbowmen, but I think that the defenders will end up being more useful in the wars that will come. And really, this this ties into the first power spike. I think you're vulnerable in year 0 and year 1. But as soon as you get some forts up, you can start pumping out defenders, pumping out magisters, and there's a power spike. And what happened to me is at the end of year 1, I had a really good expansion. So there's a really good expansion, which you really want to do. You don't want to, expand, and let everyone else finish expanding. I think if you get attacked by like sacreds, like Hellblessed sacreds in the beginning, you're in trouble. So try to diplomacy your way out of that. Otherwise, I think there's a point in the very early game where you lose, where you don't have much going for you. But there's a power spike once you get your forts up and you're getting the defenders out, that you can then beat people that are sort of medium blessed with crossbows. There's a crossbow power spike. And I'll show you in the history when it happened for me. Now, there's no way to pause this, but as you can see, I expanded into the water. Pretty good expansion, multiple provinces a turn. This is 0-0. And I'm all the way over here. These two start fighting. And as you can see, I'm getting the forts up. They're just springing up all over the place in a ring around my my capital. And year 2 is when I started fighting Tianqi. I took that province, spread in there, and there's a power spike. You can definitely, so we'll stop it there. You can definitely vulture with crossbows quite well, and if you have your fort infrastructure up, you can fall back on that if you don't like it, and they can sit there and like try to siege your forts or raid you. Which if you have packs of defenders sitting in the forts, you can recover raided provinces, especially if your forts are kind of properly interspersed. Some of these weren't, like this is an inefficient fort obviously, but there's a throne on it, so I wizard towered it. Same with this one. These are just wizard towers to protect the throne. Before, the forts were these ones: Forest of the Lost, Land's End, Silverwoods, Gold Riep, and Efezabor. As you can see, it forms a literal ring around my capital. Anyone coming in here is going to either just have to raid and sort of be annoying, at which point we can slowly take it back and our scales will be able to recover, or try to go for a slow, arduous siege against defenders, and yeah. So the power spike in late year 1, early year 2 into year 3 with the crossbows. That's the first power spike. The second power spike with Scales Man is in the late game, where you just become even more impenetrable. But I think what I would say is branch away from the defenders. I made too many defenders. It hurt my income, and it just sort of slowed me down. I think your big research goals are, we'll go back, because this is, we'll go back to this. Your big research goals are construction, to get that Ring of Wizardry out. That the Ring of Wizardry is what unlocks everything for you. I wouldn't even go for the Ring of Sorcery. Just go for the Ring of Wizardry. Get it out there. Be done. I just totally lost my train of thought. Yeah, so research goals. We'll go here. I forget how to... Is it... It's an F key. There we go. So construction, you need construction 7. So construction 7 is a research goal. Then obviously the easy one is evocation for air evocations. Now I would get to Thunderstrike because you can communion up and get Thunderstrikes out. You can even in the early game just do well with Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt is a good spell. I would chill on Orb Lightning. It's tempting, but what you want is a line of Corpse Constructs, which you'll already have. Corpseman Construction. It's 1 air gem a turn. The problem is you have to empower one of your Magisters in death, which costs 50 death gems. So save death gems and empower one of them in this. And also make sure that you empower a young one. So they start, so if you find any one of them at age 63, this is the youngest that they will spawn at, and they don't get afflictions. So find one that is age 63 and empower it in death. And sooner rather than later, get, you should look up how to make corpse constructs. How did I bring that up? But you want a lightning rod and a storm spool on them. And then if you have enough air gems, get a staff of storms, which can be useful for other things, but when you're not using it in a fight, then put it on your corpseman constructor, and you're getting 10 corpsemans per turn. The issue, it would be nice to have multiple of them doing that, because then you could really have like an infinite amount of them, but again, it's 50 death gems to empower them in death. So at least do one. I'm saying at least do one. And the reason for this is simply that these corpsemen have shock resistance, and so with that shock resistance you can have them on the front line, and that's when you start going for Orb Lightning with your mages. But you need that, the defenders, your sacreds, none of them have shock resistance, so you're just going to kill your own units. I don't even know how many of my own units I killed using Orb Lightning. It was a lot, and it wasn't good. I think after that, in my opinion, I shot for Thunderstorm because I was going for remote attacks. This is I don't think it's that good. I used it a couple times. There's one time where it was really good, but then a bunch of other times it was really underwhelming. So Thunderstorm I think is a bit of a trap, but it is level 7. Like, it's more attainable than some of the later remote attacks. Yeah, I think the next step after that is what was really useful for me. I think one thing that you can do with this nation is just dominate air. And so what I did after I got some goals is I went to Conjuration and got the Air Queens. And I think that's totally justifiable. They can help get Storm up. They're good. I still don't quite understand how exactly to use them. I think they're there to supplement your armies more than they are to be like super combatants themselves. But they can cast Wrathful Skies. They can get they can get like Gale Gate up and stuff. And then one of them summons air elementals, which are really good, that you can just have. Then another one summons these like not as good units, and then the other one's entirely useless. That one you should use for either combat, have it dedicated for combat, or have it be the one, yeah, no, you have that one be dedicated, the useless one, have it be dedicated for combat. The other two should summon allies, and the one summoning air elemental should be the one you keep safest summoning allies, and have her do Gale Gate, so that she's never in danger, and therefore Gale Gate doesn't go down. That might not make sense to, I don't know if I phrased that well. I think if you're basically, if the caster of, let me just explain that a little better. Gale Gate gives you 20 air gems a month. It's really good. It increases your air elemental size. I didn't even know that. So it's an important spell, but it costs 60 air gems, so it's expensive. You should put extra gems into it, but if you didn't put extra gems into it, it pays for itself in 3 months. So it's worth going for that. But it's sort of, actually you can. If you have your Ring of Wizardry and if you have a winged helmet, you can put it up with a Magister, but they have old age and they just die of the old age. So I wouldn't do that with a with one of them. I would do that with a Queen of Elemental Air or your Pretender or something. The next research goal is branching into other magic paths. There's a hero that you can get that gives you a vampire that has death and blood, and I just did it the slow way. I just had him slowly get blood slaves until I could get Curse of Blood. And again, with the Ring of Wizardry, it's really easy to get to these. With that guy, 2 blood, 2 death. I gave him the Ring of Wizardry, which brought him up to 3/3, and then a Skull Staff, and then he was there. So again, the Ring of Wizardry just opens up everything to you. Next. So yeah, blood magic I think is good, and since you're sitting in these forts, recruiting units, recruiting defenders, they can sit there and patrol. You can, I think this nation is pretty much, because it's such a sit back scales nation, you are hurting yourself by not blood hunting, so try to break into blood. The other big one is fire. In my opinion, I don't know if I did this wrong, but I think fire is good because if you have that fort infrastructure up, like in that game I was showing you. I'll go back, and I don't want to make this too long, but yeah, I'll try to finish this up in the next 7 minutes or so. Yeah, so as you can see, once you have this fort, these huge forts up with tons of defenders in them, it's almost like a no-brainer to start spamming remote attacks. So I think your late game strategy is blood and remote attacks. That's how I won this game, at least. Blood, remote attacks into artifacts and construction 8 or 9 or whatever that is, artifacts. Tons of corpse constructs. Here, we'll look at the corpse construct so you can see it. Shock resistant 15, undead, poison resistant, cold resistant. It's just a good frontline troop, and you can get a lot of them. As you can see, each of these is a batch. Each turn I have one of these guys doing it, this guy, and he has this Staff of Storms. So he has Corpse Crafter 10. So that's what I'm talking about, and I wish I'd done that way earlier in the game, way earlier. But as you can see, look, he's old, or no, he's still pretty young. Huh. Okay. Well, I did it to a young mate. Whenever you're empowering, do it. So you don't want to do it to a 72-year-old, or you want to do it to see, that one's 75. You don't want to do anything with this guy. He's gonna die soon. This one, 74, 78. Definitely don't empower that one. But this guy, 65, pretty young. Yeah. So corpse constructs, Ring of Wizardry, remote attacks, It's just once you have these forts up, I'm telling you, you'll be like, why am I not remote attacking? And the best remote attack, I believe, is flames from the sky. So, and the way to climb fire is you need to empower a mage in fire, give him the ring of wizardry, and give him a fire, give him the ring of wizardry, which makes it so, let me just take this away. I think I gave him a ring of wizardry with which I crafted a flame helmet? No. What did I do? How did I do this? I somehow did it. I can't quite remember how I did it. Did I just summon a flame spirit? I thought that was 4. No, okay. I summoned flame spirit at 3, so he's at 3. Summon flame spirit. Then from flame spirit you craft flaming helmet. Put the ring of wizardry and the flaming helmet. So we'll do this. I did this, and then where's the flaming helmet? What? How did I do this? Well, the flaming helmet is missing. I know I don't know how I did it, but I did it. And then you get to 5 and you can summon the fire kings. But yeah, do that. And then the only issue with that is that it's pretty late game before you're going to be able to do flames from the sky. It's all the way at the bottom. But once you have it, that's really good. You can do seeking arrows early on. I think they're better early than they are late, but I don't know. I don't quite know how effective they were, but I used them a lot to do something. And at the very least, it's like a demoralizing thing. Like they're sitting there, and each turn, their arrows coming at their mages. And if you didn't know, everyone in the late age is well, most people in the late age are human, and so they take. So 8 damage is not a joke. Yeah. So I think to summarize my opinions on Late Age Man, you have a power spike with crossbows early on. Build forts and sit in them, and get your research up. Take scales. I actually don't see them doing anything other than scales. Again, I used a, well wait, here I'll show you my, this is the one I used, and there was a problem. So don't copy this. There was a problem because of this. I thought I could just put the coin on him and then he'd be at 7, but because of this I couldn't, and I actually don't remember how I got around it. Maybe I empowered, I'm not quite sure what I did, but don't make this mistake. Set it to 8, and yeah. I think it might be better to do a imprisoned, like, person down here that doesn't have that forged malice. This might be good. More free stuff to do with crossbreeding. Yeah, this guy might be good. A researcher might be good. A researcher might be very good. Yeah, that might be very good. Glamour gems are kind of useless. I may be totally wrong about that, but that's my opinion. Yeah, I would say either the researcher, the freak lord, Or maybe one of these things, but it almost seems like more of a liability. But yeah, take Astral. Whatever it is, it has to have Astral in it. Who has Astral? I bet he has Astral. Nope, Glamour. Yeah, none of them have Astral. What? Like literally none of them do. This one. But that's so expensive. Yeah, I don't know. I think I would. You don't need a expander. You can do it without. We can do it without these. I wouldn't do this. These, really your only option is this, and that's so expensive. And then, and just always take it imprisoned, because you're not going to have construction 7. It's possible, but you probably won't have construction 7 before he awakes. And then, yeah, for the only bless I'd take, so if I was going to amend this, I'd either go with the monolith and go up there, or I would do the researcher. You don't need a lot of dominion. Full scales, you can take drain. Luck, growth, heat, maybe. And then you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, pop that up. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I think that's a pretty good. Just do that. And I think you'll be okay. You could save yourself some trouble by maybe. No, I think the blood is better. Maybe not earth. I don't know. You could maybe switch out earth for something else. Maybe fire for the other big thing that you might be able to do to make your power spike last longer is go for flaming arrows. But I don't quite know how you would do that. I think you'd need to have your pretender do it and get flame spirits out early. But I just don't see that being worth it. Worth hurting your scales over. But maybe it would be good. I think it's better to just take full scales. Don't worry about flaming arrows. Don't worry about flaming arrows. I don't think it's worth it. I could be wrong, but for winning the game, it might help you win an early war or a mid-game war, maybe. They're counters to flaming arrows. But it would hurt you winning in the end, which is what you want to do. And even if you have flaming arrows, you're still going to want to be able to go to late game. I don't think you could march around the map winning with just flaming arrows unless you were getting a ton of flame spirits out to be able to do this. To have like multiple flaming arrows armies. I guess I'll dial it back and say, unless you have a really good idea about how you're going to have like 5 armies, 5 huge archer armies with a flame spirit that isn't going to die, casting flaming arrows a lot. Does flaming arrows take up a gem? It's enchantment. It does. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a little it's a little ambitious to think that you're going to have multiple flaming arrows armies winning you the game in the mid game. Because in order to do that, you need enchantment 5. You need Conjuration 6. This is like almost not the mid game anymore. It's the mid game. It's solidly in the mid game. But you need, at the very least, you need Conjuration 6. You need Enchantment 5. Wait, what is this? 1 area of effect. Yeah, okay. If that was a bigger area of effect, then maybe that would be better. But you need Conjuration 6, Enchantment 5, and then your Pretender Awake or Dormant, and able to get the Flame Spirits out, or just be the Flaming Arrows caster. But that's only 1. Maybe with, no, she doesn't have fire. Oh wait, actually she might be good also because she can do corpse constructs, but I assume you wouldn't want her sitting there doing that. But aren't there 3 of her? I've never used this before, so I don't know. Maybe that. No, that has that Inept Smith and it doesn't have Astral. So you need Astral and Fire, which you literally just don't have. So you'd need to be one of these people down here coming out dormant. You could do what I did before. Oh look, this costs more than it used to. You could do 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could just go 7, or you could just do 6 and forge the Astral Booster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dormant. And then Nature. I don't know why I think Nature is essential, but I do. You don't have any Nature, and Nature is good. Get Nature. And you got like this much for scales. So no, this I actually think that going for the Flaming Arrows route is bad, in my opinion. Unless you think you can kind of hold off. Unless you think there's a power spike with Flaming Arrows later than what I'm thinking. If you do Imprison, you can just do what I was saying and not have Earth and instead have Fire. Voila. And then yeah, now this is okay, I guess. I think in the late game, like this is fine. This is basically what I was saying. It's just like not gonna happen. This is gonna happen in the late game when you have flaming arrows coming out, and so you might as well like maybe fire is a better path than earth to put stuff into. You could do 3. You could do that. For sure you could do that. And then with the Ring of Wizardry you can fill in a lot of holes here. So if you guys like that, if you like the idea of Flaming Arrows, I would do that. Just don't expect to get it. I wouldn't rush it, is what I'm saying. In fact, I would actively be against rushing it. So, I guess to conclude, if I was gonna give like an elevator pitch for Late Age Man, go scales. You have a power spike. You're not defenseless in the like year 1 and 2. Sit in your forts and make huge forts and get your fort infrastructure up. Make a Ring of Wizardry. Play for late game with remote attacks and blood hunting. And then good luck. Yeah. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Adios.